Hi, this is week 7 for theater management from East Texas A&M University. My name is Haley Anderson. This week we are talking about chapter 10, board development from Webb's book, and chapter 13, boards, governance, executive staff, and volunteers from Ryan's book. I liked these two readings because they came at the same topic, in my opinion, from different perspectives. I would say Webb came at it from much more of a functional, brick by brick, this is what a board does, right? Whereas I think Ryan's kind of gave us like the general of everything, right? The general of the board, the volunteers, the stuff, everything. Typically I enjoy Ryan's book more actually, but this week Webb's, I think, broke it down for me more, for me to personally understand. Sorry, I'm gonna pull up my notes. Yes, I kind of feel like he guided me more through it. I found it interesting, like the board structure, right? Because in my mind, like a board is this big, ominous, scary thing. Like I mentioned in one of my discussions, anytime you saw the board was coming in a TV show, right? That meant that your characters were going through something dramatic. That meant there was some big meeting, some big presentation, whatever have you, right? And so boards, I think, kind of get this perspective is that they're people that are intimidating, right? And that, of course, that is true to an extent. But I think that this kind of showed why they're there. Who are they there for? How do they do all that stuff? I think one thing I found interesting is that maybe a theater board member does not have to be a theater-minded person, right? They should like it, I think. I know there was arguments in whether, but I think they should like it, obviously. But they don't necessarily have to have perspective of what shows do well or what ideas are meaningful to the community or whatever. As long as their basis is how do we continue this business and are we fulfilling our mission statement like we talked about in an earlier chapter and video. So I think that was what was kind of interesting. Like I said, Webb's was really more brick by brick for me. I think him going through maybe the negatives, the personal stories, I'll go back to the brick by brick, but the personal stories and connections for me kind of made it more realistic. Like the theater managers talking about their connections to positive boards and negative boards, right? And where does a theater manager's perspective lie when they have to answer to the board but also do their job, right? And then back to the brick by brick kind of idea, what does that mean for programs that are just starting? How do you look for those people? How do you go into the community? How do you do all of these things to start this, right? And to find those leaders around you to help you create a successful program or building or however. I felt like in Ryan's, I was more interested in the meetings section and the like effectiveness of dealing with problems. I felt like that was really thorough. How to kind of go about. I kind of connected to the challenging board members situation just because we've all been that coworker or had that coworker that was difficult, right? And how do you connect or change or diverge or however. So I enjoyed the class discussion from Ryan's. That was on page 212. I thought that one was interesting. The idea of volunteers and interns, I think, is a known idea, right? No, we know what volunteer means. And then the idea of interns from like colleges, right? You see plenty of like summer stock college internships, like, which is a great way to learn, right? And I never really considered them as maybe they would learn from the board members, right? Having to deal with that kind of perspective. I kind of got jumped there, but Webb I found interesting. His was the committees, because I had always heard of committees working on stuff, but like, what was a committee? And I didn't really realize it was board members just focusing on an area, right? It was not the big ominous board member that you don't really know what they do, whereas they were just focusing on something, and having people work on the committees and stuff like that. I found that intriguing. I liked both of these chapters, just because finding this business world of theater that I've been a part of since I was 14, right? I did dance before, but I started theater acting when I was 14, and then I did technical in college, and I did box office sometimes, and I did lighting and costume and set and all of this stuff. And I really found this chapter interesting because it really was more of the business side, right? Last week, like, I was very clear, the math part scared me. The math intimidated me while I was reading it. This one, I felt like I was looking at the business world, and it was more of something I could connect to and understand. I really enjoyed these two chapters, and I am excited to continue to learn this business perspective of this field that I love and kind of see where it goes from there. So I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.